I'm just sitting in the studio, just trying to get to you, baby. Ooh, let me get my stand bowl. Why don't I do that, actually? I'm going to do that in a second. Let's see here. Oh, ouch. Nickel crack. Let's go to the live control room here on the charge. Let me charge. Alrighty. Let me do that in a second. Here we go. Get that. When to go. Tell me when to go. I'm unable to have that stuff interesting. See if we live on. Let's see here. Make sure that we're live. Oh, that's fine. Switch. This account. Now we should be there. Alrighty, I think we're good. Give me 1 second, guys. I just want to. Let me just see how I say. Switch. Okay, cool. Good. All right, give me 1 second, guys. I am going to quickly just get my stand goal. I know this is a little OCD of me, but let me just get my stand goal really quick, and then I'll be back on. It'll take me like maybe a minute or two. So give me just 1 second. Alrighty, I am back. What is up, Tyrese? How you doing, man? We actually haven't talked about Udoka as a hiring, so interested to hear that from you. But before we kind of go into talking about PG-13 and what the Clippers were able to do tonight, please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. The more likes, the more subscribers we have, the more YouTube will recommend us. Again, another thing, I know I kind of promote this stuff, but, it's very optional for this next step. Again, give me 1 second here. The one thing I will say that we do have t-shirts and mugs if you guys are interested in this content. Again, we have t-shirts, we have mugs, and we also have a donation link as well. I'll put that in the chat if you are interested in donating to the channel. And again, guys, this is going to be, optional. Again, we're bringing the latest NBA news and rumors and basketball opinions in order to grow. We do need some sort of compensation. Not saying I need a lot, but it would be nice to get that going so we can kind of grow this channel and, kind of grow it a little bit more. But to kind of get all that promo aside of what I need, Tyrese, you said I think the Suns can't really see themselves going to the finals. I think the Clippers. Do you think that the curse of CP3 in a Western Conference final, you think that's real, or like a 7-game series? You think Chris Paul can't close it out? It'd be interesting to see like what's going to be going on in terms of if you're going to get really. Whoops, don't want that there. Where was I? We were kind of watching this scrimmage really quick. Here, I'm just going to put this in the chat so you guys can see it. If you guys are inclined to donate, it's up to you. This is completely optional. You don't need to do it, but it would be nice to help the channel. But again, guys, please remember to hit that like, subscribe, and also hit the notification bell to make sure that you are aware of when these videos are out. So, yeah, Tyrese, you really think so, huh? To me, it's going to be hard because I think if Kawhi Leonard is not back, then I don't think that the Clippers really have much of a chance. Like, I know Reggie Jackson's balling, and it's crazy to know that Dennis Schroeder turned down an $84 million contract, and now you're going to have them basically pay Reggie Jackson $100 million wherever he goes, whether he stays in the Clippers or whatever they decide to do. Tyrese, they came back in. I mean, I understand that they came back against the Jazz, but I wasn't really, I think the Jazz there was times where I feel like Rudy Gobert is just unplayable at times. And I just think it showed its ugly face in that series. And I didn't really have a good chance to talk about it. With the Jazz being another one of my favorite teams, I really need to talk about it a little bit more because it's just kind of a little bit of an issue. Do you think that Kawhi Leonard messes up the flow? I mean, before the injury, Tyrese, you got to remember, before the injury happened to Kawhi, he was absolutely balling. Like, he was, first in TPA, again, total points added. And it's like, to me, it's like they really did a nice job of kind of mixing in not only Kawhi Leonard, but also bringing in other guys. And I think that's the reason why they won. But, hey, man, you can't deny the fact that, the Clippers are doing their thing right now. Reggie Jackson and Man have emerged as real assets to the Clippers. Before the series, no one was talking about Reggie Jackson being an X factor. I mean, think about this. Rajon Rondo was playing a lot of minutes in that series, or like the last couple series, and then all of a sudden you insert Man and you insert Reggie Jackson into that rotation and get rid of Rondo. And you kind of see why the Clippers got rid of Rondo. It's just he doesn't add anything to what you need. I know guys like Skip Bayless will say, they missed the leadership of Rondo. But I think Rondo at this point of his career, it's not necessarily Father Time is coming up for him. But I do think that they could have definitely used some help in that aspect. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. Because, it's one of those things where you look at it and you're like, Now we're seeing like the full Clippers, kind of going with what they have. Marcus Morris absolutely balled tonight, and you are right. And I think you are right in the sense where you definitely see. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that this is good. Okay, cool. Celtics get him. No, I don't think we need Morris. I would love, I think Morris is a great asset. I think to be honest with you, I think he's the better Morris brother out of the both of them. But with that being said, this is Morris having to take that role and responsibility where I think the problem with getting a guy like Morris is that I feel like that's Tatum's role. Like Tatum, he's going to be taking Tatum's spot. We're not going to be going small ball. I mean, unless we decide to trade Jaylen Brown or whatever's going to happen with Udoka and Brad Stevens, whatever they decide to do, something tells me that they're not going to get traded. So I think with Udoka, being there when Jaylen Brown was playing basketball, kind of with the U19s and all that stuff. Oh, Reggie Jackson. Okay, I thought you were talking about Marcus Morris. The problem with Reggie Jackson, Tyrese, is that it's going to be the problem with Reggie Jackson is I don't want another Kemba Walker situation where, he balls out at the beginning and then when he comes to our team, he's just not going to add anything. And that's my worry and concern with a guy like Reggie Jackson is, am I getting the Reggie Jackson that we need? And it depends on how much he wants, because we saw that Dennis Schroeder turn down an $84 million contract, which means to tell me that you're going to get Reggie Jackson for basically you don't like Ime Udoka. I don't actually mind him too much. Kind of researching him a little bit and kind of understanding his background, I think the reason why the Celtics hired him, and maybe we should make this a separate stream, but I think the reason why they hired him, Tyrese, is because he's had such rapport with guys like Tatum and Brown back in their youth, like when they were young players. And I just feel like that's the role I think Brad Stevens wanted to go in, is be like, hey, let's go with guys that know, these young players like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And I just feel like that's kind of the way that's kind of the direction that they went in, is like people that can kind of relate to him. Because Brad Stevens, for as good of a coach as he is, X and O's, he just can't relate to guys like Brown and Tatum. And meanwhile, you have Udoka, who's been coaching those guys since my stream. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, Tyrese. I know he was like the fourth. Wanted another. Okay. I'm not sure why I'm having issues connecting. Hopefully those are kind of gone, but he's good for rebuilding a team. The Jays are gone, but I don't think that they're gone. I think that I think they're going to still be here. The only issue that I'm worried about is are they going to get the pieces that they need to help them? And that's going to be the biggest question mark, because Danny Ainge, I felt like, left us in a bad predicament. And again, I'm not sure about Brad Stevens as kind of the president of basketball operations. I still think I'm a little wary on it, because I'm not sure we're going to get like the best out of him in that role. And they traded away Kemba Walker. They got a nice young center, which we didn't really need, but we had to trade away our pick to kind of get Kemba Walker off our books. So we'll see what happens in terms of our salary cap implications. What does that mean for how much money we have on the table? And I'll be doing probably a separate stream for that. I know right now it looks like the connection is just kind of absolutely terrible for my internet. So I do apologize to the people here that are watching and kind of seeing that the stream right now is just kind of going a little funko. But for the people that are here, that's kind of my interesting thing. Who is our leader? Marcus Smart. We are screwed. Brad got appointed because he's up. And that's the fact. I think the Celtics would have been better off if he felt like it was a duty to. I mean, I could see that, but I think at the same time, I think I want to give Udoka a chance. I think as being a guy that's been an assistant for so long, you could say that, because he's been an assistant so long, is he ready for that transition to, the head coaching job? He was up for many positions before. And that's going to be the question mark to, coming into today and just coming into the next season in general, is like, is Udoka ready for that responsibility? And, we're going to find out whether that's right or not. I think when it comes to the Celtics, I'm going to be curious to see what Brad Stevens does in the offseason, whether that's through trading. And of course, we're just having issues connectivity wise. That's awesome. Business journey is the alpha in all of this, not Brad. Lucy is mad cheap. Huh. I don't know. I'm shorted Brown in his contract, and the reason he gave Tatum the money is because he's flashier, like my more players. Yeah, I mean, like I said, we'll find out and see what the truth is about that. I want to believe that it's going to be more so that we're going to get a good situation. Not saying it's going to be like fixed immediately, right? Because we still have to make a lot of moves in order to get even remotely close to being back to a playoff contender again. We had that big stretch with Gordon Hayward, and you could say what you want about Kyrie Irving. I mean, not really much about him as a Celtic, but you can really see it in terms of excuse me. You can see it a lot in the first season, but let's see what happens. I'd be curious to know next season, and just kind of as we kind of approach the next season, what are the moves Brad Stevens is going to make? Because, like I said, I'm okay with Udoka, but what I'm not okay with is Brad Stevens being there. I know Brad Stevens is a business decision. I get that, but at the end of the day, the business is getting the Boston Celtics to the NBA Finals and winning that next championship and beating the Lakers in that aspect. Right now we're tied, and depending on what the Lakers do this next season, we're kind of going against, I wouldn't say the establishment, but you're definitely going against LeBron James and kind of his influence into getting guys to come to him. Whether that's Dame Lillard, whether that's other guys. I mean, that's kind of the scenario that you're seeing here as it pertains. Brown is going to want a fat contract, wants to be number one option. The thing is like, I think Jaylen Brown to me doesn't scream number one option. And the reason why is because, and maybe even Tatum to an extent as well, because those guys don't command a presence when they're on the court. To me, Jason Tatum reminds me a lot of like a forward version of Devin Booker, like a very solid player offensively, does his thing, scores all the points. But in terms of adding more value, I just think that that's something that is yet to be seen from me. Like, I think he's an all NBA type of talent, Jason Tatum. But what concerns me, or what gets me kind of a little bit hesitating, them saying Boston's a racist city. I mean, I wouldn't say, like, the thing is, like, I know Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have not said anything about that in terms of being a racist city. And I know that you're kind of looking at this from a half empty perspective in terms of all of the signs kind of point one way. And I'm gonna disagree with you, Tyrese. I understand what you're saying, and I understand that that's kind of the perception. But I understand where you're going with it. But I would like to think that if those guys were being honest with people, if they were like, "Hey, Boston, you have some issues," and the thing is, it's like Boston's not the only racist city. I mean, I think that there's a lot of racist cities in America that, frankly, we should be calling out. But obviously, Boston's one of them. I'm not going to deny the historical background of those cities. But what I will say is that I would like to think that in 2021, 2022, not saying to look past those things, but to more so, how do we fix those things, right? Like, yes, we talked about the issues. I know, like, and that's the thing, Tyrese. I know that Tatum is a huge Kobe Bryant fan, and I think that in my heart of heart, I would definitely see him being a Laker more than anything. But I would like to think that he would at least try and make it work, almost kind of like Damian Lillard is, and then all of a sudden you're going to see him be like, "Yeah, I just don't like it here anymore, and we're not putting things around me to win the games." Again, I view Tatum as like a forward version of Devin Booker. Great scorer, adds a lot of value, but again, the other little things that will make great players, I just don't see that. I mean, I get that, Tyrese, but at the same time, I don't want to play this political game. Not like in terms of politics, like government wise, but like politicking in the NBA. Like, I know that it happens. I think, there's a reason why obviously Horton Tucker is a tremendously talented player. But LeBron James definitely gave him the opportunity, and it's just kind of one of those things. And yeah, he doesn't owe anything to Boston. None of them do. Any player doesn't owe anything to a city, right? But what I would ask him, both Tatum and Brown, is to see if they can make it work. And if they can't, then we trade him, and then that's kind of it. The thing is with Tatum is he's already signed a big fat contract with us, so his extension has already kicked in. And it sucks that he didn't get an All NBA team, but maybe good for us because you don't have to pay him that much. Because obviously making an All NBA team, it's like the incentives. So we'll see what happens with that. Again, I didn't want to get too off track with the Boston Celtics talk, as we were talking more so about the Clippers and really some NBA prospects and talking about the draft order here on the charge today. So Tyrese, I would love, maybe we can continue this conversation maybe at the end of the stream or maybe on another stream, if that's chill with you. and just kind of talk about the issues that we see in Boston, and are they fixable, or are they going to be issues that are going to be here for the long time coming, and are we going to lose those guys? We have 6'6" centers. No, we have forwards that are 6, like Robert Williams, or not. So Robert, or maybe it's Grant Williams. No, Grant Williams. Yeah, I mean Grant Williams is kind of our short center, but Tyrese, we just added a 7'2" center, and now we have Robert Williams as our starting center. I think we'll be okay in the center position. But let me do a separate stream for this stuff, because as much as I would love to keep talking Celtics, the problem is I kind of named the stream a little bit something different. So let me check my schedule really quick, actually, and see when I can talk next about Celtics. Just because with coaching, coaching is such a grind right now. I'm trying to figure out what the next sense of what I can do here. So let's see here. So we got there, practice 6 to 8. How about this? On Friday at about 7 o'clock. Friday, 7 o'clock. I'm going to schedule the stream. We're going to talk Boston Celtics, 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be talking about the Boston Celtics Friday, July 2nd, to kind of go over that, because I want to continue this conversation, Tyrese, because I love, this is the one thing that I love about the Charge, is that we're able to have this dialect, and it's awesome to see that a guy as passionate as Tyrese is about the Boston Celtics is really, that's what I want from everybody that's watching, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching afterwards. You're good, man. I appreciate it, because I think it really drives the conversation. And I want to continue this conversation. So 7 o'clock, July 2nd, we're going to have this conversation, Tyrese. And Tyrese, let me know. I'm trying to see. Why don't you do this? If you are interested on coming onto the Charge, Tyrese, let me know. Type it in the chat as we kind of continue streaming today. And why don't we have you on, actually, talking on the Discord, if you're willing to, if that's something that you'd be interested in. Why don't we do that, Tyrese? If you would like to come on the Charge and talk, I would love to have someone to kind of debate this Brad Stevens Boston Celtics topic and really get a background of your Celtics fandom. Whether I'm sure you've probably been a longer fan than I have of the Boston Celtics, but if that's something that you're interested in, Tyrese, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will give you my email. I can give you the email for this YouTube account, and we can kind of talk about that and kind of schedule it and make sure that at 7 o'clock we're good to go. So why don't I do that? Give me 1 second, Tyrese. I'm going to put my email in the chat. Let me just put my email in the chat really quick. Let me see here. There we go. Let me see here. Give me 1 second, Tyrese. All right, Tyrese, you have my email now. Let me know, and I will make sure to get that all situated. And again, I'll put that in there. Let me know if you guys are interested in, or not interested, but let me know, Tyrese, if that 7 o'clock time works for you, and we can kind of continue this conversation and get you situated on Discord and bring you on. And like I said, I would love to talk about the Boston Celtics with you as a Boston Celtics fan to another. This is going to be a fun, absolutely fun series, and kind of fun, maybe not fun series, but it's going to be a fun conversation, right? Because we definitely are, we're definitely different in the way we view things, and that's awesome, because I don't want it to be just like one conversation, an echo chamber of sorts. So I'll definitely make sure to make it work. 7 works, perfect, Tyrese. I will. I give you my email. Just make sure to email me your Discord stuff, and I will make sure to get that all situated for when we get back on stream to kind of talk about that stuff and kind of continue the conversation going. Oh, but now kind of steering back into that conversation. I don't know why I did that, but okay. To kind of go back to the conversation that we were just having with. All right, perfect, Tyrese. I got your email. Cool. To kind of go back to the conversation that we just had. Oops. We were talking about, Paul George dropping a career-high playoff. Basically, like you talked about, Tyrese, earlier, is that this was Paul George, vintage Paul George of his Indiana days. And going against the Miami Heat, and kind of just watching it. And, like you said, like Paul George went extremely off today. And you had many guys on the Clippers really giving you what they needed, right? We talked about Marcus Morris giving you 22 points with a plus 20, plus minus, doing a great job against Ayton. Ayton played absolutely terrible today, 5 of 9. Definitely did not get the shots that he needed. And again, 10 and 11, it's just not going to work for what the Suns need to do. Nicholas Batum defensively was doing everything. Offensively, not so much. You got DeMarcus Cousins kind of having a renaissance game, giving you 15 points, 7 to 12. Didn't really hit his threes, but again, was solid in his 11 minutes. I mean, giving you 15 points in that stretch is awesome to see. And then, of course, you had guys like Reggie Jackson, again, playing for that $100 million contract. And you can see that Reggie Jackson was kind of the guy that they needed. And again, Rondo didn't play tonight, and I think that it was a smart move because Rondo offensively just doesn't give you the same type of energy and the same type of off-the-bench performance as a guy like Trey Mann has so far, or a guy like Reggie Jackson. I don't know if they've been saving Trey Mann for the playoffs, but it's kind of interesting to see their small ball lineup of Beverly, Jackson, George, Mann, and Marcus Morris kind of being their tallest guy, right? And you can see that the small ball worked for them. And to me, it just kind of bears the question of why didn't the Suns take advantage of that with a guy like Ayton? Ayton had 11 rebounds. Meanwhile, Paul George had a lot more than him. So it's kind of interesting to see that, Ayton didn't really get too much on the boards tonight and was a minus 22. Worst on the whatchamacallit? On the Suns. He was just not very good tonight. Chris Paul, 0 of 6 from three-point land, 8 of 19, giving you a minus 15. Didn't really do too much today. The Chris Paul that we were looking for. And again, as much like I talked about with Tatum when we were kind of talking about the Celtics at the beginning, Tyrese, Booker is a tremendous scorer, but that is basically the extent of Booker. He's a great scorer, he's an elite scorer. Not even a great scorer. He's an elite scorer. But the problem with a guy like Booker is he just doesn't add anything else for your team, right? He doesn't give you the rebounds and assists that you need. And, yes, your guy can give you 31, but you're going to need a little bit more from him to get guys like Bridges some points. Crowder, played a Crowder-like game today where he was 0-4 for three-point land and only gave you 4 points. Like, you need Crowder to hit his shots in order to be effective. You need the role players to step up. And, guys like Cam Johnson did tonight. I thought Payne didn't play too particularly well today. 2 of 6 from the floor. Just didn't really do anything. And again, you do need Booker to play. Not saying he needs to play defense per se, but he definitely needs to get involved in it and really kind of get himself in there. And that's really what's going to lead them to that victory. But unfortunately right now, or maybe fortunately for the Clippers, is because they just won this game, does that mean that a guy like Kawhi Leonard comes back and plays? Honestly, I thought the Clippers played a lot better without Zubac. Zubac, I know, is a center. He can match up with Ayton a lot. But you can see why Zubac shouldn't play as much minutes as he normally does, because you can see, just like Rudy Gobert is for the Utah Jazz, Zubac, to me, is a liability at times when he's on the court. I think he's a little too slow, and then he gets into foul trouble, and then it's like you get switched on to a guy like Booker, and Booker will just cook him for the 31 points. Even though he didn't play tonight, he still cooked for 31 points. And again, it didn't help that none of the bench guys didn't really provide too much of offense. Saric, 1 of 4. Cameron Payne, another role player for them that plays particularly really well, was 2 of 6 today. And again, you got, like I said, Ayton giving you 5 and 9, just not nearly enough shots. Bridges 205, Crowder 206, and you needed those shots from Crowder in order to get you back into this game. So it's going to be seen here. And you are right, Tyrese. They definitely move a lot faster without Zubac. I know we talk about wanting the traditional center back, but you could see why Zubac is just not really it at the moment. He needs to be. They need to make a faster push, and I think because of Chris Paul's age and how they can kind of take advantage of his size, kind of going against, with Patrick Beverley guarding him, and then kind of on offense you have Paul George maybe switching onto him. Not saying that you don't want to switch on to to CP3 all the time, but it definitely did help. But again, the Clippers, I got to give credit to the Clippers, man. We talk about them as being the basement dwellers of LA. We talked about them being the little brother. Kind of no one's really interested in them winning, but what you can say about the Clippers is that they have a lot of heart so far, and they're willing to, they have to win 2 more games basically to get themselves into that championship contending spot. And it'll be interesting to see if Paul George is going to have another game like that. And to be honest with you, to see if Kawhi Leonard does come back in this series, because they're definitely going to need him at some point. I know Paul George is playing on fumes right now. He's absolutely tired, and I'm sure a lot of these guys are tired right now. But it's going to be interesting to see as we kind of continue to proceed of watching these games of, Trey Mann didn't have a particularly great game today, right? He was, I believe, 0 of 2 from 3, but 2 of 8 from the floor. That's just not going to cut it. Kind of Paul George picked up the slack with shooting 15 to 20, only missing 5 shots, which is absolutely crazy to think about how much he went off. I have flashbacks of Cavs with Clippers. Which Cavs team, Tyrese? Are you talking about that 2016 team with LeBron James, or what Cavs team are you thinking about? But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the Clippers tonight did a really good job of, just saying hey, Booker's gonna outscore us, but we're not gonna let Ayton kind of do his thing. Ayton has been tearing it up in these last playoff series. I mean, if we look at Ayton's last couple games, and we can kind of take a look back at his last playoff games, kind of talk about this here, right? Giving you 22 rebounds the other night, 18, 24, 20. He's been giving you a solid high 20s. 2016 with Tyronn Lue. Okay. Tyrese, are you a fan of Tyronn Lue? Do you think that Tyronn Lue's a good coach? And you can kind of see here that, to kind of go to my point, is that, Ayton did a tremendous job of getting great solid help shooting above 55% from the field. And you can kind of see the domination of it. Man, this is so hot. I got to take off this hat. I know my hair is an absolute train wreck right now, but oh my, it is hot in this house. If you're in the Seattle area, I got to put my hat back on. This is trash. Okay. So you think he's a good coach? Interesting. Again, just kind of talking about really more so with kind of the Ayton storyline is that he didn't really provide too much tonight in terms of offense, and you're going to need him to play it. So last year to replace Brad. Okay, so you think that he should have been hired instead of Udoka? But I feel like not to get off subject again, maybe we'll talk about this on Friday, Tyrese. But I just feel like Udoka does. Hey man, it is 100. The thing is, Tyrese, you guys are used to that weather in Cali. Here in Seattle, we are not used to 108-degree weather. We are usually in the 80s. It's nice out. You can play spike ball. You can do you can play outdoor basketball. But man, it is just impossible to do anything out here tonight. It was just so dang hot, and it's still hot. I have my fan on right next to me because in the space that I work and do the streaming, I have a supercomputer right now, and it just the problem with the computer. I love the computer; it's awesome, but the heat that it emits from it is just absolutely ridiculous. And it's just kind of one of those things that you're kind of seeing a little bit of a slow, kind of some slow things right now because it's so hot in the staying room. But again, Ayton didn't really do too much tonight, and that is the frustrating part about Ayton in today's series is that I expected him to be a lot better, and it's just kind of one of those things. That's true. I wanted to move to Seattle after college. You guys, yeah, it's nice weather, man. I mean, I know that people talk about it rains a lot, but it is honestly the best weather that you can have anywhere. So it's really awesome to get get the weather that's going on. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. I don't know why am I saying that. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is just freaking hot, and I can understand. Well, my girlfriend's from California, so I understand that heat to an extent. But to have it here and have it all day, and basically these last couple of weeks has just been tremendously horrible. But to kind of get back on subject with kind of the Clippers and the Suns, to kind of end the conversation here. I was just, like I said, disappointed in Ayton tonight. Didn't really provide too much on the court out there. And I just felt like also CP3, for the most part, has done a pretty good job. I just felt like he sort of chased his shots tonight. And, that's not the CP3 that we need right now. And just hasn't really been the same since he came back from COVID. 0-6 from 3, 0-4, and just shot 34%. I mean, it's not like they shot much better, but at the same time, the Suns shooting 45% from the floor is just not going to cut it for a team that's shooting 54%. And again, it just came from it really, to be honest with you, came from Paul George willing that team to win 15 out of 20. And you got to give credit to Pandemic P or Paul George now. We can kind of make fun of the whole, Paul George calling himself playoff, but at the end of the day, he definitely got them over the hump and really did a great job that you can see out there, really kind of playing to the strengths of Paul George and kind of seeing the way that he played. So it was awesome to see. So again, we'll see what happens. I still have the Phoenix Suns winning this series. I think it's just too much to ask for to win two more games unless Kawhi Leonard's playing. And I know that Tyrese, you think that putting in Kawhi Leonard would ruin the flow, but I just think that he adds so much value and potential. The way that he was balling out before the injury. You're going to see here that he's going to do the same thing as it pertains to what is going to go on for here. But at the end of the day, let me know in the comments section down below, do you have the Phoenix Suns winning this series, or do you have the LA Clippers coming back and going to the NBA Finals? Let me know in the comment section down below, and please remember to hit that like and subscribe button. And again, we got merch, we got donation link. Make sure to get that stuff if you are interested. Now, I think he saved himself to stay. Yep, I think he did. I think, Ballmer is a huge fan of him now, and we're going to see what's going to go on with that storyline. And do you think it's going to go Game 7? I think both series can honestly go Game 7s. It's going to be fun if it does go Game 7 for the Clippers, because then it would be a fun it'd be a fun game. It'd be a fun kind of environment to see that, for all the sort of issues that have been going on with the Clippers, these last 2 years, trying to get to that. A lot of people picked them to win the championship last year. I know that people are going to make excuses and be like, oh, it was COVID. But again, we'll see what happens in that scenario as it pertains to what is going on. But I want to talk about the NBA draft and kind of the prospects that I'm interested in. And when we look at this stuff, I want to talk about the draft order first, since we didn't really make a video on it or talk about it. This is the official draft order now. We officially have it. It's going to go Detroit, Houston, Cleveland. Cleveland somehow always gets a top 4 pick every freaking year. It's crazy. Cleveland, Toronto, Orlando, Oklahoma City, Golden State, Orlando, Sacramento, New Orleans, Charlotte, San Antonio, Indiana, Golden State, Washington. Formerly the Boston Celtics pick. Oklahoma City gets another one. 17 Memphis, 18 Oklahoma again. New York, Atlanta, New York, Los Angeles Lakers, Houston twice now. LA Clippers, Denver, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, Phoenix, and Utah. So this is going to be a very interesting draft, because I think that this, to me, since he's from Fresno. Oh, he's from Fresno. Interesting. We'll kind of go over the mock draft for what people are saying here for NBA.com. For Jalen Green. Okay, I read that. I didn't know he's from Fresno, though. That's pretty cool. You hope the Rockets get him. Interesting. This, to me, and the reason why I titled it in the stream is because I really do think that this is the most I would say, I'm trying to think of the right word. It is the most, I think it's one of the most loaded draft classes. It's honestly maybe that I want to, obviously, a lot of people want to compare it to the 2003 class, but I think this class is absolutely low. I don't want to compare classes because I think comparing things like that is kind of silly at times, but I do think that this class is absolutely loaded with tons of potential from a ton of different players. Again, I am a huge fan of Cade Cunningham. I've made multiple streams and videos about him. The fact that he is, again, a LaMelo-sized type of guard that's able to score, shoot, at any part of the court and also be able to pass the rock and rebound, that to me is like number one. You can't mess that pick up. What it does suck for the Detroit Pistons is that they drafted Killian Hayes last year, and it just sucks to see, like, for a guy that, kind of had a good start and then just kind of had a. You really think this class is weak? Why do you think this class is weak, Tyrese? I think there's a lot of good talent here. I think there's a lot of great players. But Cade Cunningham, obviously, it's funny this guy's also named Cunningham. Cade Cunningham, to me, is the consensus number one pick. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I don't think anyone stands out like Ayton or Jason Tatum. I think Cade does. I think Cade, to me, stands out. No, I don't think he got exposed. I mean, the thing is, like, I don't think Oklahoma State had a very good offense around Cade because Cade was the offense. Basically, it was kind of like, Cade, do something, and then we'll kick it out to our other guys to shoot threes. I mean, it wasn't like the other guys on the Oklahoma State team during the NCAA tournament was really doing too much. I know they had a scare at the beginning and then ended up losing, but I think that Cade is the real deal, and I could see why teams are trying to trade for him and why Houston and Oklahoma City were trying to get so many draft picks to that position. In this mock draft, they have Cade Cunningham going number 1. They have Evan Mobley going number 2. I think they're not going to go with Evan Mobley there. I think Evan Mobley, as much as, people want to compare him to Ayton and stuff like that, I just don't think that Evan Mobley is in the same boat because you see the way that Ayton is built. Like, the way Ayton looks now is the way he looked in college, and I just don't think Evan Mobley is going to be that guy. To me, Mobley is a little bit more in the Wiseman category, where he's more long and lanky as a center, kind of like a tweener between a power forward and a center, can kind of play both positions if you want to go small ball or go a little bit bigger. So I think that one, to me, I'm a little bit concerned on. Jalen Green to the Cavs, I think that's a perfect fit for him. Jalen Suggs to the Raptors at 4. You got Kuminga going at number 5 to the Magic. You got Scotty Barnes, who I've heard a lot about, and kind of I'm a little iffy on Scotty. Number 7, Davion Mitchell. I think the Warriors are trading that pick anyway, so I think another team's going to get him. 9, the Kings are going to get Franz. No, I don't think so. I don't think they're going to get Wagner. Pelicans are going to get Keon Johnson, Josh Giddey, Corey Kispert, Jalen Johnson, Josh Giddey. I don't think. This is interesting. I think Corey Kispert's going to go a little higher than 14. I think he honestly could go anywhere from 10 to 13, in my opinion. I think that Corey Kispert, I know he didn't really have a great NCAA tournament, but you can see the potential that Kispert has as a shooter, as kind of like a guy that spaces out the floor. Doesn't necessarily need to have the ball in his hands. He can put the ball on the ground and dribble and go and finish. But it is interesting to see that he is, gone so high because, I think of Joel Ayayi for the Franz Wagner is related to Mo Wagner. They are related. I think they're brothers, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I think Joel Ayayi, I think, is a guy in the late first round that someone could really use, and I kind of want to see if they're going to have him on the list. But for the most part, everybody has Corey Kispert around, the 10 to 14 mark. And there's a lot of people that are kind of high on Keon Johnson. It's interesting to see that a guy, that James Bouknight, it's like anywhere, like you can see that Bouknight, the guy that played for UConn, his name is kind of interesting because there's some mock drafts that you can see on here where he's like super high, and then there's going to be other ones where he's like super low. And Alfreen Sengun, I know that that's kind of a name that's kind of been circulating a lot in kind of the rounds because he is a Turkish international player. You know, a lot of people kind of look at him as kind of interesting. He's going to be a gem according to some players. You know, you got the Athletic having Usain Garuba. We talked about him a little bit. If you guys are interested, I do have that stream somewhere on the channel. I'll probably post it at some point and just kind of go over that because we did do kind of like a mock draft early in the season. And again, you know, a lot of people have Sengun is kind of like in that top spot, but then you got like the Athletic doesn't really have him in there. They kind of have him at 12. And then you got, of course, ESPN not really having him in there at all. And it's just because I think he's just like a gem. People are just kind of like, well, you know, this guy can do something. But again, I think Jalen Suggs at 2 would be interesting. I think the Houston Rockets could use Jalen Suggs, in my opinion, and just get off of the John Wall train and just kind of go with Jalen Suggs as their guy. Because I think they already have Christian Wood who can play the center position, who can play the power forward position. It's like, why add another guy in Mobley when you can add a point guard to help you out? And I think you're going to see that. This is what I'm predicting. I think either Jalen Green is going to go to the Rockets or it's going to be Jalen Suggs. And it just depends on the direction that Houston wants to go in. Do they believe that's going to be Jalen Green, kind of the next 2 guard that people are interested in, or is it going to be Jalen Suggs, the next point guard, and replacing a guy in John Wall and James Harden in that aspect? And again, you got Cade Cunningham, the number 1 consensus of all these. All these draft picks, and you know, Usain Garba is just another name that is added to there. Again, I just don't know enough about. Like, I've watched them play, and I've scouted them before, but I don't know if they've played since and what they're looking like. And I think Suggs has to be in the top 3, man. It's hard to argue with Suggs. I know I have a lot of Gonzaga friends, and it's fun to kind of tease them a little bit at times, but. Tyrese, you're going to make my friend Sean really happy. He's a huge Gonzaga fan because he went there. He is a huge Jalen Suggs fan, and he will buy his jersey whatever team he goes on. So, but I do think that Jalen Suggs does go top 3. I just don't see Evan Mobley moving the needle like a guy like Jalen Suggs can. You know, Jalen Suggs, a former quarterback at Minnehaha, and now being a college basketball player, using that football skills and instinct to get that pass. I mean, that is something that a lot of players dream about having. It's something that I wish Giannis would have when he's driving into the hole, doing his spin move. Like, that is stuff that he really needs to add. And again, I think this draft is loaded. And again, you kind of look at here, it's like, whoops, I think this is last year's draft. Let me kind of go here really quick. NBA. I really want to look at the story. I mean, this is the kind of the story that I want to talk about. Really, is more so like kind of what we're talking about here is kind of guys that have fallen off or falling into the lottery. Detroit obviously was the big winner of Tuesday draft, drafting Cade Cunningham, but it's no slam dunk. Detroit takes in. There's been a report that there are other places already, including by our own Sam Betsy by Kid. Excuse me. The Pistons are intrigued by G League Ignites guard Jalen Green and could take him over Cunningham. I think that Cade Cunningham, like, it's hard to me to pass up a guy in Cade Cunningham, especially with the way that Detroit is at the moment. I mean, again, it all depends on what they think about Killian Hayes. If they think Killian Hayes is the next sort of D'Angelo Russell kind of guard player that can kind of be like the basketball scorer, but the problem is like, to me. And I'll take off my hat for this. I mean, it is what it is. It's going to be hard for me to kind of justify not having Cade Cunningham be number 1. Like, the way that he plays the game, it's hard for coaches to me. You think that Amani Bates is the next Anthony Davis? Interesting, Tyrese. I want to get your take on that. We'll talk about that on Friday as well. I'll be curious to know what you guys think about that. Let me just double check, Tyrese. I want to double check to make sure I don't have a basketball game that day. Wednesday. Let me just double check really quick. Let's see here. Oops. So I'll go to Gmail. Let's see here. I'll email you. I'll make sure to email you with kind of what's going on. But to kind of get back on topic of just kind of like what we're seeing here, we talked about a lot of guys that are kind of falling out of the lottery. We talked about kind of players moving up. There is one player that's actually interesting to me in terms of. That's July. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we don't have anything on Friday, so we're good. We're good, Tyrese. One thing that is interesting to me is that kind of a center from Utah State has kind of risen up the draft boards, and people really like him. And I want to pull him up because I think his film is very interesting. And let me just get his name really quick. It was in the scrimmage. Trying to find out who the center is. Let me look him up. That's what it is right here. Oops. Neemias Queta is a name that I'm seeing kind of rise up on kind of on the draft and just kind of seeing his name be really talked about a lot in a lot of draft boards and kind of seeing his name rise up. Not saying he's going to be this like top 10, top 12 pick, but I could see him potentially being a guy that they take, kind of a flyer on because of how athletic he is and how quickly he moves up the court. And a guy that is about, I'm not sure how tall he is. But apparently he's a 7-footer. But it looks like from the way he moves out here, I mean, look at that. That is definitely not 7-footer movement. It looks like he's a lot quicker than they give him credit for. Very high spring, lots of bounce. And again, is able to get open on these plays. I mean, I want to look at this last play here, just kind of what happened. Pick and roll, kind of getting lost, good pass, run the guard, boom, hit him out there as like a quick transition. Again, post-up game, good passing. Again, it's hard to kind of judge players based on kind of what I mean by that is like it's hard to judge players based on the things that you see, in the WAC or whatever Mountain West conference whatever conference that they're in, right? But this guy to me, he looks like a solid player, and really, I feel like maybe people could take a flyer on him. I know that I was just watching actually a little bit of the final scrimmage. There he is right there in white, again in the center, number 90. Again, another guy that I really like here is Joshua Christopher, the guy from Arizona State. I liked him a lot in high school. Like I watched his highlight tape. I watched what he was able to do. I was a huge fan, and I was very impressed with the way that he was able to score the rock at Arizona State. And I think that he's going to be able to be that sort of off the bench scorer for anybody. Not saying that he's going to be necessarily like, depending on, his potential could be, honestly, Kevin Porter, the young player from Houston that was formerly on the Cavs. I think he has that type of potential. It's like just a scorer, instant bucket, and definitely could be in this league for a very long time with the way that he scores the rock. Again, like I said, Grimes is like the guy that I'm interested in. I know that he's really hasn't shown up too much in this draft. The only question I have about him is more so is can he shoot? And again, this is, we got a lot of players in this kind of scrimmage 4. There's a lot of more scrimmages that happened. Again, we're just going to watch a little bit. Don't want to get copyright striked. Again, there he is right there with the nice steal. Great finish at the rim. Again, like that to me is impressive about him is that for a guy that is 7 foot tall with a 7'4" wingspan, I mean, the wingspan is irrelevant, but to me, to be able to pick someone's pocket and to be able to go coast to coast as a center, that to me is going to be a player that I'm going to be watching for in the near future because he is the future of basketball. That is what the center position is going to turn into. They're going to need you to be that athletic and mobile to really move around the court and really go dunk it and really go do something with the ball other than be in the low post or be down below to go swat the ball. And to me, like I like what I see from this kid already. I'm not saying that I haven't watched enough film of him to really get a good understanding of his game completely. But like I said, he is a very fun. And on Tuesday, look at that. He had 15 points and 8 rebounds the other night before. Again, that's a tough shot. I think that's Washington, if I'm not mistaken. He's also another player that's also being looked at. Again, that's just a tough shot. I believe that's Christopher, if I'm not mistaken. Again, like I said, Christopher is a bucket getter for anybody. That's Grimes. I think Grimes is also something that a lot of people are looking at and seeing him kind of be up there for potential a draft pick as well. Like really top echelon. And we'll see what happens with it, man. It is, to me, this is the best part about it. It's just kind of like good pass there by. I mean, like I said, this kid looks like he could be a steal of the draft. I'm not, I talked about kind of the guy from Tulane, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember his name. I liked him. I still think he could be a solid player for whatever team he can get on, because I think he's in the G League at the moment. But a guy like Grimes, we've seen guys like Terrence Mann. I mean, Terrence Mann isn't a rookie. Trey Mann. Not Trey Mann, excuse me. It's is it Terrence? Yeah, Terrence Mann. A guy that I mean, he didn't really have that much of drafted in 2019 as a second rounder, and you're seeing like the potential. So again, some guys you could see that they're going to flourish at the beginning, and then there's other guys you're going to see that just maybe need a little bit more time. And you're seeing, Terrence Mann really shine for the Clippers at the moment, and it's awesome to see. So we'll see what happens with kind of a guy like I think Melvin. I think his name is Melvin, if I'm not mistaken. Not saying that he needs to be like, and the thing is like. Melvin Frazier, that was it. I think he was a guy that could potentially be still a job. I liked his game. I think he's a very good player, and we'll see what happens with him. It's like, got drafted by the Orlando Magic, and it'll be fun to see like what his career will end up being like. And we'll see what happens with that sort of situation. But again, I am interested to see kind of, again, the center from Utah. Again, I want to know where this guy is going in the NBA mock draft. And I want to see here if there is a mock draft from here and just kind of look at what people are looking at in terms of the center. See if he is going to be in that sort of situation. You got Scotty Barnes at Florida, the Toronto Raptors. Interesting. Kuminga, Wagner. Again, a lot of people like this guy from Besiktas, Alfred Sengun. I'll have to watch. I want to watch his highlights and really kind of dissect him. Davion Mitchell, I know what I'm getting from him. I think he's a good, solid player. Kispert, again, I like his game. Jalen Johnson, another guy that we didn't really see that much of in the college basketball season. So I'm curious to see what his game is going like. You got also the kid from Josh Giddey, the guy from Australia. You got Golden State with Chris Duarte. And that's really it in terms of like the top 14. And again, I think that this guy could definitely make a name for himself. Uh, Nemes Keita. I'm just gonna call him Keita or Keita. Again, I think that he could potentially be a really good solid player. I mean, he had a really good game in the scrimmages so far, so it'd be fun to see like what his potential is as it pertains to him being like the guy. And again, it'll be fun to watch his growth and his progression kind of continue forward. Um, Great slam by that guy. I'm not sure who that guy is. And again, what I love about this is that basically this is how you make a name for yourself for the guys that are kind of like in that late lottery to second round. Like this is how you make a name for yourself. Like yes, you may not be part of the I would say trying to think of the right word. Like you're not part of like the top echelon. Like people aren't looking for your name, but this is how you make your name, right? Like Keita or Kita, the guy that I'm talking about. Like I didn't know anything about it, but as soon as I started watching these scrimmages, and actually, I know that this is more so of highlights, and I know that's not more so like a full in-depth kind of analytical talk about it, but I love watching this stuff because it is awesome to see guys really make a name for themselves. This is how you get guys to know your name. I mean, Jokic participated in this type of stuff, and that's how we got to be the Jokic that we know. Like, without this type of stuff, we don't get a Jokic. We don't get these second round guys or Jimmy Butler even. We don't get that with this type of stuff. So it's awesome to see that they are doing a really good job. Good kick out by this guy's also kind of like a tweener. I think they just took him out now. But the previous highlight, he was in there. Good Euro step. And again, like this to me, like I said, is probably the best part is like scouting and like figuring out who knows the game and who knows how to manipulate the game in their favor. And I can see definitely that there's guys out here that can do it. One guy I'm interested in to see, I think that's Maker, if I'm not mistaken. I want to see how he performs. I know that he opted to go to a HBCU school, which is nothing wrong with that. But I'm curious to see like how he makes a name for himself in the NBA because he was a top prospect in college, and now kind of going to the NBA. We'll see if he can kind of continue that as we continue to kind of watch and see these guys grow and develop. Because, like I said, it'll be fun to get to know these guys a lot more. Yeah, now we got Keita back in there. We got him back in the game. Good. That was a great play. So a back pick, and again, this guy just falls absolutely asleep. You hate to see it. Good communication there, and I don't think that happens. But again, great back screen on that to get that guy open for a play. Awesome job. If I'm not mistaken, that guy Preston, I believe he was Ohio, maybe. Not Ohio State, but like Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that. Again, if you're going against if that guy is taller than you, I don't understand what's the need to swat here. Like you're not gonna get a block there. So, just stay on the ground. Again, Grimes again just going absolutely nuclear. Again, just in like the communication was there, but not so much the talk, or not so much the action. Grimes once again shooting lights out. It is crazy to see. Um, his range and his ability. Like I said, it's awesome. Again, we'll do a lot more kind of analytical research and kind of more stuff about these guys. I know my boy Sean, like I said, he's going to be the new social media guy for us on the Twitter account. So you'll definitely be seeing his mug and his opinions on there. So make sure to kind of give him your opinions about what you guys see there. Again, the Twitter is Fusion Corp, or sorry, not Fusion Corp, The Charge, excuse me. Fusion Corp is kind of the merch store. But if you go to Twitter, let me make sure we're on Twitter. Again, at The Charge Stream, you're going to be finding here just kind of talking about what we are going to be really discussing. And, you know, it's going to be an awesome thing to kind of talk about and see. And, you know, we'll find out what's going to go on in this scenario as it pertains to what's going on. I got to go, man. Look forward to Friday. Yeah, man. Definitely look forward to Friday. We'll see you a little bit later. I'm probably going to end the stream a little bit now. And for guys that are just tuning in, or for people that are watching on Twitch or wherever you're watching us on, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of? Let me make sure I'm not, you know, kind of neglecting my Twitch people out there. I want to make sure that I have you guys kind of covered as well, and that there is people just kind of in the Twitchverse right now. I don't think there is, but it is. Got 5 reviews and likes. All right. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see what happens, guys. I'm looking forward to Friday to talk more so about basketball, talk a little bit more, and really get to know more about these prospects. I want to start watching this stuff live. The issue that I'm having is, where can I do that on a platform where I'm not going to get really so much so banned for showing it? Because I want to be able to kind of talk about guys and kind of really kind of get to know everybody here. Because again, you know, we talk about a lot of these NBA prospects, you know, kind of talking about like what really makes them tick, who's the guy that we're looking at, and, you know, kind of really more so get to know a lot of these guys and really get to know kind of the mock draft and really get to know a lot of these picks. Again, is going to be interesting to see where everyone goes because there's so many guys out here that a lot of people talk about. And like I said, you know, you got so many guys. You got Zaire Williams. We still, you know, another guy that I'm kind of interested to see what he does in his career again. And I would love to see that center from Charles Bassey. Let me make sure. Oh, Charles Bassey. I liked him as well. He was a great player for Western Kentucky. I remember watching I think the Hilltoppers, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember what their mascot is, but I like watching them when they were playing. Be interesting to see like where it goes. You know, Josh Christopher at 34 is a steal for the Thunder at that point. Let me see where. Whoops, I mean to. Not want to here. Wow, Ayo Dosunmu 26. Okay, that's not bad. Wow, crazy. He's not even on the list. That's awesome. All right, that's terrible. I feel like he kind of balled out, though. I mean, it's kind of interesting to see that. You know, he didn't really get that much kind of notoriety. He's from Portugal. Interesting. That's awesome. I just feel like I don't know. I feel like he kind of balled out. Like, watching his, like, I kind of want to see where he is kind of projected to be in terms of a draft pick. I mean, big board, he's 24th, and he's going to get drafted in the second round. I think he honestly could be. He to me seems like a guy that could be drafted in the first round. Like everything that I've watched so far, I know that the guy from Besiktas is going to be looked at. I know that there's a center in kind of the same country as Jokic that a lot of people liked. So it's going to be interesting to see, and he just won the MVP. But again, as the number 4 center in this list, I just think, to me, I like him. A guy that gets a lot of rebounds. I mean, you're seeing double digit rebounding. I mean, that's something that you want to see from everybody, and he just seems to me like a guy that knows the game. So, again, we'll see what happens. I would love to kind of get everybody's opinion in the comment section down below. Who do you guys think is going to be the guy that people get? You know, for a guy that, born, 21 years old, almost 22, he's an instant great player for a team that's looking for a center that's well-seasoned, knows what he's doing out there as a junior. And I just think, age, to me, it doesn't really matter. I know you're trying to project and get the long-term longevity of guys, but I think that you should, it shouldn't really matter. I mean, look at his strengths. Defensive win shares, assists, defensive rating. I mean, assist to turnover ratio. You want a center like this. I don't know why this guy's not getting more looks. I know he's old. Well, old, right? 22 years old is old, apparently, to a lot of people. But, again, I'm looking forward to kind of continuing this draft. But, again, kind of looking at the mock draft and the big board, more so is like Cade Cunningham, number 1. I think Jalen Green has to go number 2 or number 3. Jalen Suggs has to go 2 or 3. I just think that to me is more so the right thing to do for a team rather than try to get a guy like Evan Mobley. Yes, Evan Mobley is 7 feet tall, but I am not impressed with a lot of his, he had a good game. I think he's a solid player, but if I'm building my team as the Houston Rockets or the Cavaliers, maybe the Cavaliers make sense, but I think they do need a guard that can kind of be a scorer and not really rely on being a ball dominant, because you already have Colin Sexton, you have Garland, so I think you do need to get Jalen Green. But Jalen Suggs, to me, I can definitely see him being number 2, and I just, unless Evan Mobley just apparently is the next coming of Aiden or the next coming of this up-and-coming center class, then I don't know, I'm a little concerned about it. Again, a lot more teams to kind of talk about. There's a lot of guys here that people are going to be talking about. And again, we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting to see what teams go after. Again, Josh Christopher, I think he, to me, is a first-round talent. I don't know what he's doing in the second round. Keita, again, the same thing. A guy, Deshaun Nix, for a guy that, did a really good job in the G League, it's crazy to see that he's fallen into the second round. Like I said, this draft is really solid, and I don't know why, some of these guys are not kind of staying a little bit higher. I know there's a lot of guys they can build on. Joel Ayayi, a great player. I could see Gonzaga, or sorry, not Gonzaga, I can see the Jazz taking it. I can honestly see, Greg Brown actually would be a good pick. They just need rebounding here. And whoever the best rebounder is, that's who they need to take. So they can put him in the rotation to really be a solidifier. And honestly, I think you can get I really think the Nets should be really looking at him. If that's if they're going to still continue this, team with Durant and Kyrie and James Harden, look at a guy like Keita or Keita, Keita or whatever, however you pronounce it. I think he's going to be a really great player in this league. So we'll see what happens. Again, another guy that a lot of people are looking at, Petrusev. Again, a guy that went to Gonzaga, ended up going to a different team, and then you got a guy like Johnny Juzang that people are interested in. Projected 3-point, looking good. It'd be interesting to see if he decides to stay or if he's going to go to the back to UCLA. We'll see what happens with that. But again, it will be interesting to see guys like BJ Boston. Again, Zaire Williams somehow is going to be a top pick. I know he's an intriguing player, but again, BJ Boston, I felt like maybe he played a little better than him. But again, we'll see what happens. As it pertains to a guy like Zaire Williams, again, didn't really do too well. I think he was hurt a little bit this season, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thank you once again for joining me here on The Charge, giving you the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinion. Please, guys, remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button if you're new to the channel. The more likes, the more subscribe, the more people are going to be on this channel, the more we're going to be talking about it and having conversations like me and Tyrese had. I want to have those with a bunch of people. I don't want it just to be a one-sided conversation or an echo chamber. I want many different ideas, different opinions on this show to discuss. We may like some, we may not like some, but I would love to kind of get your guys' takes on the stuff. So please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe, and make sure that you guys do share this with passionate basketball fans as we are trying to grow this community. Anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Thank you once again for joining me here on the